Hello, welcome or welcome back to the Yarn and Yarns YouTube channel. My name is Angela and all of the places you can find me should be linked in the description box below this video. Here on the channel you'll find me chatting about my adventures in knitting, spinning, crochet, weaving, all of the fibre related things. Today's video is one that I am really excited to finally be filming. If you've been following along for a while you'll know that this year I have been quite focused on spinning in particular. And I really wanted to dip my toe into the world of a bit more fibre preparation and specifically making rolags. I've really been enjoying spinning from rolags this year. I think that's come hand in hand with my newly discovered love of using my support spindles in particular. But you can use rolags to spin on any type of thing that you can make yarn with. So yeah, I really wanted to treat myself to a blending board. So I have been saving some pennies for a little while, and also with huge thanks to folks who have donated to the channel via my Ko-fi link, which you can find down below. I have finally been able to get hold of an Ashford blending board. There are other companies who make blending boards and you can make your own as well. You can buy carding cloth separately. A few people suggested when I said I was trying to save for a board the possibility of making my own, but in the end I waited a little bit longer and decided to go for the Ashford board. So today I'm going to be unboxing the board and trying to make rolags for the very first time. Now I kind of know the principle behind how to use a board, but I have never used one before. So I'm going to be sharing my adventures on camera and we shall look at my first, no doubt, wobbly rolags to come off of my board. There are quite a few videos on YouTube exploring blending boards and making different types of rolags. If you've been here for a while, you'll know that I quite enjoy sharing my first adventures in doing things fibre related with you, because I think oftentimes the videos we see on YouTube are people who have been experimenting with these tools for quite some time and know what they're up to, and I think it's quite fun as perhaps someone who hasn't done this before to find a video of someone else sharing their first adventures, because sometimes when you've seen someone who's practiced in the skill that they're showing, they're producing these fabulous perfect or almost perfect things, and it can be a little bit frustrating when you give it a go and you're not getting the same results. So yeah, I like to share my first attempts at dipping my toe in the water of these different adventures, so that hopefully that will encourage you to keep going if you don't make things that look exactly like the videos that you're following here on YouTube. So I am going to unbox my board and play with some fibre. So fibre wise, I have sorted out, I've been tossing my fibre stash, and I've sorted out loads of stuff that I would be happy to use on my blending board. But for today's experiment, I'm just going to probably do one today in today's video. We shall see how time goes. If you enjoy the video and you want to see more blending board fun, then let me know in the comments below and I'll be happy to make more videos in the future. So yeah, for today's video I'm going to experiment with some little sample packs that I have. These were so kindly gifted to me more than a year ago now, I think, by my lovely friend Mandy. Hi Mandy, if you're out there watching. Mandy sent me this gorgeous sample box of these lovely sort of little bits and bobs of fibre, and I have been playing on and off with the box. I've spun some up, I've used some in a weaving project that you may have seen or may be coming up soon on the channel. I'm not sure which order these videos will go up in, but I've had a lot of fun with these sample packs that were gifted to me by Mandy. So yeah, I thought what better way to dabble on my blending board for the first time than use all of these beautiful colours. So I've pulled out two packs. They're quite sort of blue-green heavy, and this one's got a few extra pops of colour, so I thought we might go for a sort of blue-green theme on the first rolag adventures. And then alongside that, in that same sample box, I have this lovely bit of fibre, which is the camera focusing on that? Probably on my face. But if you, as you can see, it looks like there's some black sort of wool-based fibre in there, and there's also some bits of sari silk, so I thought it'd be quite nice to add a little bit of texture. And if that doesn't get me quite far enough to fill up my board. I also have this amazing hank of sari silk that was a beautiful gift from my dear friend Caroline of the Colourful Creativity podcast. She recently sent me a package for my birthday and included lots of different fibres for me to play with on my blending board. So I shall be playing with those more as my blending board experiments progress. But I've got this kind of as a backup today if I want a little bit more sort of sari silk. I think you can probably see the colours in there. If you ignore the black background, you can see the colours of the sari silk are very similar. So I've got that on standby too. But of course, before we can dive in and actually play with the stuff, we've got to open the box. So let's get on and do that. Okay, so as per some of my other unboxing videos, I have sort of sliced open the sellotape, but I haven't actually peeked inside the box yet. So as I mentioned at the beginning of this video, this is an Ashford blending board. It is 30 centimetres by 30 centimetres or 12 by 12 inches, and the board comes with a keel, which is sort of like a stand that goes on the back of the board, a blending brush, 2 dowels, and it has a convenient carry handle, the blurb says on here. And it promises that I can create beautiful rolags, so we shall see. That seems like quite a claim. But let's get into it. So yeah, let's get into this if we can. So yeah, lots of packing paper, which is kind of inevitable. So first off, on the top, we've got the lovely dowels, which should help us roll our rolags off of the board once we have done our blending. So I'll pop those over here. And then on top here, this is the keel. So this will go on the back of the board, and it has kind of a dual function really. You can either, if you're going to use your board on a table, you can use this to prop your board up, or if you're going to use the board on your lap, you can secure this kind of between your legs. You can offset the angle, and then you've got sort of something to grip the board on, so it's not going to wobble around. So in the packaging here, I've got the blending brush, so that comes nicely packaged in a bit of bubble wrap with also some protective paper over the top, because these tines are going to be fairly sharp. So that's my blending brush. I keep waving things outside of the camera area, so please forgive me. We'll put it down to my excitement. And then in the little bit of polystyrene here, we've got the sort of screw attachment which fixes the keel to the back of the board. And then of course the main event is the board itself, which has all of these lovely teeth on the carding cloth, and that is obviously what enables your fibre to grip to the board so that you can carry out your blending experiments. So it's quite heavy holding it with one hand. So we'll get this out and I'll put the box away. There are some instructions in the bottom of the box too. So just so I can show you entirely everything that's in the box, you get this really lovely set of basic instructions to get you started. And then inside that pack, I've also got a copy of the wheel, which is Ashford's Fibercraft magazine. And this includes information about spinning, weaving, carding, felting, knitting, so that's quite a nice extra to have. This is issue 32 from 2020 to 2021, and it looks like it's got all sorts of fun patterns. There's some inkle loom weaving, there's a bit of spinning information. Oh look, there's Rachel from Wool and Spinning. Lots of good articles and things in there for me to read and enjoy later. And then there is also, I guess this is a brochure showing some of the other Ashford products that are available. Okay, so time to assemble the board, and I've zoomed out a little bit, so hopefully my hands aren't going to keep disappearing out of the frame, but I wanted to make sure I was zoomed in while we were unpacking the box. So my first thing that I need to do is just pop the keel onto the back of the board. So if I flip the board over, hopefully you'll be able to see there are 3 different holes on the back of the board, and you can line up your keel with any of those. I think if you put it on the bottom one, that gives you the most upright position, I think. So I'm just going to place this gently down on the table, and I'm going to go for the middle position to start with, because that seems as good as any. Having never used this before, we'll give the middle position a try and see how we like that. I'm going to try and use this on the table to start with rather than on my lap. So I've just screwed that in, and then I can flip my board over, and yeah, basically ready to go now. So this is the bit that I'm feeling a little bit nervous about. Well, not nervous, I'm excited, but I'm also a bit trepidatious because I am, is that even a word? Trepidatious? You know what I mean. I'm also feeling a little bit vulnerable, let's say, because this is my first attempt at blending and I could end up with the world's most awful rolags, so we shall see. But hey, you know, we're playing with fibre. Fibre is fun, so what is there to worry about? I'll tip these out so we don't get lots of crinkling. So yeah, the time has come to start painting the board with fibre. Now this is the bit, I guess, that I'm most anxious, worried. It's not really a good description because that implies some feelings that are much more serious than what I'm feeling right now. Yeah, I guess I'm just worried about muddying up the colours, but you know, it's an experiment. It doesn't really matter, does it? So let's just stop waffling around this and get some colour on the board. I'm still waffling. Can you see me like hesitating? I don't know what colour to pick up first. Let's just go for this really nice bright blue. So I'm going to unravel my fibre a bit, and then I believe I just need to start from the top and then sort of pull it down over the board in stripes. That might be a little bit thick, but we shall see when I try and pack it down. So maybe I'll go just entirely for kind of some sort of blue stripe effect for now. I probably should have spent some time unravelling these fibres before I came anywhere near my board. So I believe the skill is to try and overlap your fibres slightly. I'm probably going to start packing these down straight away just so I can see that, because I've not done this before. Yeah, I guess I'm probably being more overcautious than someone who will have done this several times. So yeah, as I'm brushing this down, I'm dragging quite a few fibres off the top, so I guess that's telling me I didn't push them down far enough. I didn't, or I overloaded the board, so and I can see a few gaps, so I'm just going to push a little bit more fibre into the board. And there's probably blending board aficionados out there that are screaming at me at the moment for my technique, but you know, we all started somewhere. Right, I'm going to try and keep these colours reasonably separate that I've already used, because I'm going to need to build up a few layers, but I'm going to get a layer across the board before I do that. Some of these little bits are quite small, so I might need to layer up with some different colours. So yeah, I'm just going to sit here and pack the board for a bit. I haven't quite figured out in my new sort of camera setup and editing software whether I can do a decent sort of time lapse. So you might see time lapse footage of this, or I might just zoom back. Oh, that's feeling a little bit more natural to me already. So yeah, I might come back once the board is looking a bit fuller. So when I said this was feeling a little bit more natural, I'm really kind of pushing the top in and then really dragging these down so that the fibre gets embedded on the teeth. I've left a bit of a gap, and then the more you drag, the easier it sort of drafts itself out. I seem to have a bit of a wobble on my board. I don't know if it's the board or my table's at a slight angle. So already you can see this looks more packed down, and I haven't put my brush over the top of that yet, so hopefully that means I'm doing something right. I'm sitting at a slightly strange angle, so I can't see the top of the board. So yeah, I think you can probably see I'm laying my fibre out kind of in stripes, but I mean there's no rules that say you have to go stripy at all. You can put your fibres on the board as random as you like. I believe the ideal is just to get the board pretty well covered so you don't have too many gaps. So I think I'm just going to finish going across the width of my board, and then I'll go back in with my brush and then maybe layer in some sari silk. Okay, first layer pretty much done. I've got a couple of little gaps, so maybe I will try and fill those in a little bit. I'm not expecting these to be masterpiece rolags to by any stretch of the imagination, but I am assuming that my life will be a lot easier if I just make sure there aren't too many big gaps. So, time for a bit of this sari silk magic, I think. So I'm not going to be quite as sort of organised about where I put this. I'm just going to throw some on in various places, not trying to go for any sort of stripe effect. Right, so let's put another layer of my blues on. I'm a bit worried that I might be packing this on a bit tightly, because I guess the proof is going to be in the rolling off of these rolags, and I've got quite a sort of uneven edge up the top there. I'm not sure if that really matters or not. Maybe blending board experts out there can leave comments below to let me know if you think there are other things that I should be or could be doing differently to make things a bit easier on myself. I think I'm definitely going to run out of this sari silk, depending on how many more layers I do. Maybe I'll just do one more layer of the sort of blue colours and then call that a done deal. Because also we want to maybe spin up at least one of these rolags to see what it looks like before the video ends, don't we? not sure if I'm laying up the same colours on top of each other. In fact, I'm pretty sure I'm not there, but I think that one should be that one rather than that light one that I put over the top, but never mind. Hopefully we'll get some sort of nice variegated loveliness rather than just a complete out and out mess. Time will tell. Hey, remember, this is my first time doing this, before you judge. No, feel free, judge away. Right, okay, I've only done a couple of layers. I could definitely fit tons more fibre on this, but I'm a bit worried about how easy it's going to be to roll these up and pull these off, especially as this is my first time trying this. A couple of videos I've watched, the majority of them seem to take the fibre up from the bottom of the blending board, although I did coincidentally watch a video last night on YouTube from someone demonstrating with a is it a Clems and Clems or Clemis and Clemis board, where she rolled her rolags from the top, and the lovely Caroline also sent me a link to an Instagram video which was showing rolling your rolags from the top as being something that's a little bit more sort of ergonomical, so a bit more friendly on your body than wrestling from the bottom. But as this is my first time, I'm going to go from the bottom, and then I might come back and experiment with a few different ways of taking your fibre off the board. Okay, so time to use my sort of dowel sticks, and I believe I need to sort of put one underneath my fibre, which is the bit that is probably going to be the trickiest, and one on top, and I believe the trick is to make sure they're slightly offset at the ends, and then we're just going to try and squeeze these together and roll these off. So I believe the trick is to sort of pull back and sort of, oops, to roll and pull back. Now this isn't, roll and pull up maybe. Well, I've got the rolling down, but I've not got the pulling going very well here. I don't want to push on the board, because on the teeth of the board, but yeah, my rolag seems to be well and truly stuck. Let's come back and try again. Oh, that's a bit better. There we go. There we go. Definitely had too much fibre on there. So I'm just going to squidge that a bit and try and push my dowel off. Oops, that seems a bit floppy. But here we go, my first ever made by my own fair hand rolag from my blending board. Come on camera, focus. There we go. Ooh, interesting. I like the little dark stripes. That was that sort of black with the sari silk. I think that's going to be fun. Okay, let's see if we can, oops, get that action a little bit smoother. Whew, honestly, I'm feeling a little bit sweaty. The tension. Now, I believe you can sort of switch your fibre up from the board a bit. So I need to get my dowel in there again. Honestly, like this, whenever I see people doing this on a video, they make it look really easy. Perhaps I packed my fibres down a little bit too tightly. It sort of wants to come, but it doesn't, and I haven't got the grippiest of surfaces. Oh, there we go. I think if I had a slightly grippier surface, maybe I'll try and get like a non-slide mat, although the little sort of stoppers on the keel are sort of rubberized. Obviously my glass topped table is probably not the easiest of surfaces. You can see my board's wobbling around quite a lot, which isn't ideal. But nevertheless, we have rolag number 2. Oops, I managed to split that one apart a bit. I guess it was a bit thin in the middle. Just try and ignore that and try and make it look pretty. You're not fooling anyone, Ange, you're not fooling anyone. It's definitely not pretty. The middle bit has kind of unravelled itself. Just ignore me, I'm employing the use of the boobs. Try and stabilise the board a bit. Maybe I should call this video Blending Board and Boobs. Perhaps it will get a few more views on YouTube. Okay, that one's a little bit scruffy. That one's quite scruffy at the end. That's where I had that sort of untidy knot at the top of the board. I'm not sure what I can really do about that. Yes, it might affect the spinning, but oh, I've managed to, oh god, pack that one on really tightly. Oh, the trials. Can't get me dowel out now. Oh god, that is a real scruff back. Oh dear. Oh dear. Let's try and roll that up so it doesn't look... Oh, there you go. See, it doesn't look quite so bad when it's rolled up. So, 3 cute-ish rolags. So there we have it, my first attempt at some hand-pulled rolags from my blending board. Yeah, mixed results, I think. I gave them away. So the first rolag that I pulled off weighed just 5 grams. So although they look similar-ish in size, they're not similar in density, because the next one that came off the board is 9 grams, and then that final one, which is this one that I've got in my hand, the sort of scruffy around the edges one, is 10 grams, I guess with those extra bits of fluffy fibre at the end. So yeah, kind of mixed results, I guess, for my first time. I'm not expecting them to be anywhere near decent, consistent rolags. I definitely need to practice my technique with sort of pulling the fibre up off the board. I found that quite hard work, and I might practice doing that with the board on my lap rather than on my table, or at least perhaps get a sort of slip-proof mat if I'm going to be working on this table up here. So yeah, I guess the next thing will be to spin these. So maybe I'll have a go at spinning them on 3 different sort of spinning tools. So perhaps one on my e-spinner, one on my support spindle, and one on a drop spindle perhaps. We'll see, might be interesting to see what those turn out like. But before I go off and spin those and film that, I might have a go at making another batch. I spent a lovely hour or two yesterday evening and this afternoon spinning up the rolags that I made yesterday, and I've spun samples onto different types of spinning apparatus. So I spun a couple of the rolags on my e-spinner last night. The brown sample is poking out there underneath the blue, and then I have also spun up a rolag each onto some drop spindles. So those are the two spindle samples, and then finally I also of course did some support spindling. So I spun a rolag each onto a couple of different support spindles. So I'm really happy to say that the rolags spun really easily. I think I enjoyed spinning them in all of the different ways, but my favourite was definitely on the support spindle. Spinning long draw on the support spindle, the way that sort of rolags spin the best using a long draw technique, was just a real joy. Particularly the second sample, which was the Welsh Black Mountain, with that little tinge of orange sari silk in. That rolag spun like a dream. So I'm going to wind these all off and ply them. I think I'll be 2-plying for the most part, but I might use the sample that I spun on my e-spinner, the sort of blue and green rolag. I might 3-ply that. I might do a chain ply to try and preserve the colour striping, and then my plan will be to maybe knit a small gnome using the sort of hopefully self-striping-ish yarn for the hat, and then the other 2-ply, so I'll just kind of 2-ply this randomly, I will then use for the body. So there'll be a sort of slightly barber poled sort of variegated yarn for the body, and then a somewhat self-striping for the hat, just to kind of show an example of how those rolags sort of knit up when plied differently. I think that will make a nice fun experiment, and hopefully if I can wind these off and ply them quite quickly, I shall be able to fit that in to our gnome along. So yeah, I'm going to sign off for this video. At the very end I will try and pop in a little shot of all of my sort of finished mini skeins of the plied yarn, but for now that wraps up my first forays into blending board experimentation and fun. I popped out this morning to go to the post office to take some Yarn and Yarns orders, and I did pop into, we've got a local shop here in Penarth. It's one of those sells everything you didn't even know you need kind of shop, and I don't go in there very often, but I'm always grateful that we have it on a high street when I do need something out of the ordinary. And I managed to get one of these grip mats, so I'm going to trim this down. It's quite a big mat, but it was the smallest one they had, and I'm going to trim that down so that I can pop it under my board when I'm using it up here, because I was having some problems with the board slipping around on this sort of glassed surface table. So I'm going to hopefully use that in the future. So yeah, let me know in the comments below whether you have any blending board techniques, and please do let me know whether you enjoyed this video. If you did, then I'll be happy to put up some more blending board experiments in the future. I think I could come back and compare winding the rolags off from the bottom with that technique that I mentioned earlier, where I'd seen someone was winding the rolags off from the top of the board rather than the bottom of the board, so we could have a play around and see what difference, if any, that makes to the rolags and to how easy that is on the body. My thumbs were a little bit achy last night from putting that pressure, so I need to try and find a better technique for doing that, but I'm sure it's one of those things that will come with practice. There's tons of things you can do on a blending board. I could certainly come back and make some mini art bats on the board if you're interested in that sort of thing. So yeah, just let me know whether you'd like to see more board videos on the channel in the future. And I'm definitely going to be experimenting with rolags for quite some time to come, so there's a possibility that I might put a few sort of no chat making rolag videos up, but maybe as extras over on the Patreon channel, so that the main channel here doesn't get kind of overwhelmed with extra stuff. But yeah, just let me know your thoughts below. So I'll be back again soon with some more content here on the Yarn and Yarns YouTube channel. I hope you will join me for the next video, but until we get to spend time together again, I hope you get to do some of the things that you enjoy. Great big woolly hugs to you all. Bye for now.